Over the last 3 months, we have witnessed the fever case go absolutely insane in terms of price. We are now at 97 cents, which is the average price across the board. But if we are looking at some of these platforms, we are seeing the fever case selling for over $1.30, $1.25, and even on Steam, if we go all the way up to the top, over $1.50. This is crazy, and a lot of people are wondering why exactly are the prices around some of these cases, like the fever case, going insane right now. Specifically, a user over on X Raffle Monster did say, why has the fever case gone from $1 to $1.40 in the last 3 weeks? Well, if we're looking at this logically, let's take a step back. The gallery case recently got removed from the armory. This thing jumped significantly in value. We go all the way back here to where the gallery case was still in the armory. It was trading under $1. Then we got the announcement from Valve around 3 p.m. that day, and the price immediately skyrocketed to almost $2 by the end of the day. And this did continue to hit a high of $2.20. Now, since then, the price of this case has dropped off a bit, and now we're just kind of consolidating. But this was all from Valve saying that they were removing it from the armory, which technically meant that they're removing it from active drop pool. So this was definitely a big one. However, the gallery case is not exactly that crazy of a case. What I mean by that is it's not extremely sought after. The gold's in it, the coverts, things like that. That's what I really look at when it comes to like the longevity of a case and the price action tied to it. Like most of the price action tied to some of these cases is just hype and, you know, speculation, especially when something is possibly going to get removed from active drop pool. With the gallery case, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the kukri knife. I know that there is definitely a lot of people that like the kukri knife, but it's not as big as, for example, the butterfly knife or the karambit knife or the M9 bayonets. So I don't think that this is going to be a case that like long term it's going to continue to maintain its value. But that's just my opinion. But the main thing here is that the gallery case will most likely continue to go up in value over time because of just people opening it, supply and demand, people holding on to it. But when it comes to the fever case, right, this is where things start to change a bit. Because again, the fever case since inception has been opened massively. Because of the golds in it, the coverts aren't bad, right? The FAMAS bad trip is definitely looked at as like one of the worst things that you can open compared to like the print stream. But the fever case has been going insane in price. And a lot of people are wondering why that is. Because again, this thing is still in active drop pool. Well, not active drop pool the way that, you know, you would think, but it's still in the armory, right? You can still get this for 2 armory stars. So again, a lot of people were wondering why this is the case. Well, the main reason is because if we go over here to October 1st, this is where we first got the big update that the gallery case was going to be removed from the armory. Now, they also removed the graphic collection as well as the character craft stickers from the armory. This was a signal that Valve was going to remove armory items. And even in the most recent update from the 2nd, they did refresh the armory. However, they didn't bring in any new cases. The only case that's in the armory today is the fever case. This is the current view of the armory, and the only case that you can get from the armory is the fever case. But this is the thing. The fever case is going to get open like crazy from this point on because number one, it is the only case in the armory, but number two, there is still a bug within this case. And you could say that it is a bug, you could say whatever about it, but this has been a growing issue with the fever case, or if you want to look at it as an issue. But essentially, the rare knives in it were becoming too accessible. That's what a lot of people were saying, and Valve said that they fixed this, whatever that means, because again, how could they fix something like this? It's kind of interesting, but regardless of that, this has always been a big thing with the fever case, where a lot of people were getting rubies, sapphires, black pearls, things like that. The rarest knives that you can get. But again, this was a big signal that the golds in this case were extremely, extremely valuable. So this also made the Fever case extremely sought after. Unlike, for an example, the Gallery case that only has kukri knives in it that are not the most expensive knives at all in the game. And this is also why I do think that the Fever case is going up significantly in value, because number one, it is the only case in the armory currently today. Also, when we are looking at the stats around the Fever case, I mean, this is on the daily view. If we're looking at the Fever case, 271,000 were opened in the last 24 hours. If we're looking at the last week, over 1.6, almost 1.7 million were opened in the last week. And then if we're looking at the monthly view, over 8 million Fever cases were opened in the last month. This is significantly more than every other case out there. And you might be saying, well, what about the Gallery case? Well, the Gallery case on the monthly, there was only 1 million opened on the monthly. In terms of the weekly, only 228,000, and then also on the daily, only 20,000. And it's because, again, the items within the Gallery case are not that great. When it comes to the Fever case, that's why we are seeing such a significant demand for it. Because again, like I said, the op print stream is a solid covert. The bad trip is not that great at all, but again, you know, looking at some of these other skins here, there are some great skins tied back to the Fever case. And then the main thing that everyone is looking at is, of course, yes, the golds. I love the skeleton knife. I think a lot of people love the skeleton knife, and you can get some of the rarest finishes on this knife. You can get the Dopplers, which does include, of course, the Black Pearl, the Ruby, things like that. So again, when we look at the prices of some of these cases and we are wondering, why is the price of the Fever case going crazy? Well, it's for a few reasons. Number one, we could see that it's getting open like crazy because, again, the odds are still better on the Fever case than most of the cases out there. Number two, people love the skins tied back to this and, of course, the golds. Number three, it is the only case currently in the armory, so people are farming this case like crazy. And then also on top of that, people are speculating on if this case is going to get removed from the armory, since Valve has been removing a ton of items from the armory. And the big thing about why the Fever case is more expensive than the Gallery is simply just looking at the items within these cases and which one is most sought after. Now, the big thing is the Fever case a good investment right now? Well, I do think that if you can get this thing under $1, it is a great investment. So far, the price of the Fever case has been dropping significantly, especially from the recent peak, because it did hit a peak on the 3rd. So far, this thing has been dropping in a big way, and you can still get this case for a pretty decent discount on some of these platforms. Even on Buff right now, you can get it under $1. If you can get it under $1, I do think that it is a huge opportunity. And again, even under $2, I still think is a pretty good buy opportunity, because I do think that this is going to be one of the more expensive cases out there, simply because of the golds tied back to it, because of the opening stats as well. I just feel like this is going to be a highly demanded case to open because of the odds and because of the items within it. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, and turn notifications on to never miss a future update. And with that being said, this has been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out, guys.